This is the only video that I'm planning to make about AI cryptos. And you're probably expecting me right now to tell you that these are the 5 AI cryptos that are going to explode in 2023 and give you insane gains. And that's not what this video is about. Because truthfully, I am not an expert on artificial intelligence. My specialty is in blockchain, in crypto, and specifically in decentralized finance. However, I do have a good amount of experience playing crypto narratives. So in this video, I'm going to talk about some historical parallels to the current AI narrative, how I'm playing it based on that, and then I'll give you an overall picture of the landscape of which projects are integrating AI and blockchain technology right now. In the interest of transparency, I'll tell you when I've personally invested in a project, but that's not an endorsement that you should copy me in that investment. You should still do your own research on everything I talk about on this channel. With that being said, let's get into the video. First, a bit of background on why this AI narrative is suddenly taking off. Over the past few months, a number of AI tools have been getting a lot of attention and usage. One of them is ChatGPT, made by a company known as OpenAI. And this basically lets you put in simple text prompts and get back either text or code. And I'll be honest, this is really impressive. I've been using it personally to help with coding, and it's insane the sorts of specificity and precision that this thing can spit out based on prompts. It's not perfect, it has certain limitations, but I've personally found this to be a major time saver. And then another tool that's been getting a lot of usage is known as Stable Diffusion, and this lets you put in text prompts and get back photorealistic images. So also pretty useful and interesting. And this narrative really started to pick up steam a few days ago when Microsoft announced that they were investing $10 billion into ChatGPT owner OpenAI. And since then, a lot of these AI tokens have gone nuts. They're up 1.5x, up 2x. So the best time to buy was before this announcement, but we'll talk about some historical parallels and what we might see next. The most obvious parallel to this is the Metaverse narrative from the fall of 2021, so more than a year ago at this point. In late October of 2021, Mark Zuckerberg announced that Facebook would be changing its name to Meta and shifting its focus to the Metaverse. You have a clear parallel between AI and Metaverse, where you have a major tech giant announcing that they're going in heavy to a new technology that people had already been talking about and starting to use for a few months. And let's look at exactly what happened to Metaverse related tokens after Facebook's announcement, so we can maybe get a hint at what might happen to AI tokens now. First thing is, you can see right here on the chart around the week where Facebook made the announcement, because Sandbox, which was a leading Metaverse and is a leading Metaverse token, went from around 0.8 up to 3.2 in the first week, dipped, and then ran up to over $7, so almost 10x returns in total. And then Decentraland, which had started a bit higher, went from around 0.75 up to 3.5, dipped, and then ran up to just over $5. So still very significant returns, somewhere around 6-7x. And so what can this teach us about AI? Well, first off, this is not the exact same situation because the macro narrative was way different in the fall of 2021. You already had a higher starting base for crypto, you had more people interested, and you had the stock market was doing better than it is now, and you overall had a better economy with a Federal Reserve that had not been raising rates for the better part of a year now. But it does have some important lessons that we can take away. First is that these tokens, when the Metaverse narrative ran, they went up for a lot longer than I expected. So I'll be honest, I expected them to do this initial run up, and then I didn't really expect this second run up at the time. So the run up took almost a month until it peaked, and it went higher than a lot of people expected. And a lot of that is because crypto can be very illiquid, and crypto in general is very volatile. So when stuff runs, it often runs very hard. That's the first lesson. The second lesson is Sandbox, Decentraland were actually the leaders in the market. They were some of the largest, if not the largest, Metaverse related tokens, and they still did close to 10x returns. You had smaller Metaverse tokens that did 100x, 200x. However, even if you had just invested in the leaders, you still would have gotten very good returns, and it's almost like an index fund for the market. So my lesson I took away from this is if I'm not an expert in something, if I don't want to try to become an expert, then with these sorts of narratives, I just invest in the leaders, and that's my exposure. I don't try to pick coins and things that I'm not a specialist in. The other lesson we can take away from these metaverse coins is that eventually everything is going to retrace, and the harder it pumps, the harder it retraces. So let's look at Decentraland, for example. It started at around 0.8, pumped up to over 5 a month later, and let's look at what happened to it over the next year. I mean, it just slowly bled out until it got back to its original price, and that was before a lot of the events that we've seen this year actually happened. So the lesson of this is the fundamentals of a project never go 2x in 1 week, or very, very rarely do. They don't go 5x in a month. So when you see pumps like this, it's because of a narrative. And if you can play that narrative, you can make some gains, take the gains and get out, and then live to fight another day. But don't expect that things are going to go up forever, because they won't. Given all that, how exactly am I playing this AI narrative? First, as I already implied, I'm not trying to pick smaller altcoins here, because that's not my specialty. I'm picking 1 or 2 market leaders that I can use to get exposure to the AI market. And I'll be honest, even though I talked about AI as one of my top trends for 2023 in my video last week, I was not as exposed as I would have liked to. So some of these coins I bought after they'd already increased, but allocating only a small portion of my portfolio that I didn't mind losing, but I did feel like I needed to get some exposure to this subsector. First AI crypto project is Fetch, token FET. Now, this is the largest AI project in crypto right now, not quite in the top 100, but rank 138. And basically what Fetch does is it's a blockchain built on Cosmos that allows autonomous AI agents to communicate with each other and interface with the blockchain. And it has some pretty powerful features they're building that would allow, for example, autonomous agents to negotiate, and whether they're the ones to accomplish it or not, this is one of the critical applications that blockchain will bring to AI, because blockchain crypto is how machines can trust and transact with each other. You can't have a machine sign a contract or open a bank account, but they can interact with a smart contract or a blockchain. And so that's what Fetch is doing. It's already up quite a bit, like I've warned before. So if I were looking to buy now, I would probably buy it on a dip. Not financial advice, but also in the interest of transparency, I did invest in this project a couple days ago, and this is the only project I'll mention today that I've personally invested in. This is available on a number of major exchanges. However, I purchased it on KuCoin personally. That's the exchange that I use for most altcoins, because they have a lot of smaller layer 1s and more rare tokens. There's a link in the description to get a discount on KuCoin fees, as well as to support the channel if you find this content valuable. Next AI project I'm looking at is known as BitTensor, and they don't have a token listed that I can show you so far. Basically, what this is doing is an open source protocol that powers a decentralized blockchain-based machine learning network. And this is really interesting because it allows machine learning models to train together, and they receive the Tau tokens for contributing informational value to the network. They just received a Polkadot parachain slot, so that is quite powerful. And this is one I'm monitoring closely. I'm very interested in this project. Their token is Tau, but like I mentioned, I haven't invested yet. And a big part of the reason for that is that it's not really on any major exchanges. There's this BitTensor specific exchange known as Tensor Exchange, where it's available for purchase, but I'm pretty degen, but I kind of draw the line on using an exchange that's specifically just for one token. Maybe I'll end up regretting that if it runs up a lot, but I'm going to probably wait for it to be on a larger exchange. The next project is Ocean Protocol, and this is really more of a big data protocol. It's been around for a while, but it's closely linked to AI, since big data and AI do go hand in hand. And this project is also up quite a bit. Like all of these, like I said, this is probably not the best time to be investing in AI Well, it's certainly not. A couple of weeks ago was the best time to be investing in AI. But to give you a sense of the landscape, Ocean Protocol ranked 220 right now, and it's basically a decentralized marketplace for publishing, discovering, and consuming data. And this, again, is available on a number of major exchanges. It's been around for years, but my preferred exchange is KuCoin. Link in the description to support the channel if you're interested in this. Next project is SingularityNet, rank 221, so almost exactly the same size as Ocean Protocol. And this token is also up a lot. Like most of these, it has doubled over the past few weeks. And it bills itself as an open and decentralized network of AI services made accessible through the blockchain. So it's some sort of marketplace where you can exchange and receive compensation for these different AI services. In general, I am pretty bullish on decentralized marketplaces. Whether there's actually a need for a decentralized AI marketplaces when we barely have AI marketplaces yet is a different story. However, that is kind of interesting. And if you are interested in that, be sure to do your own research on this project. And if we look at the markets for this, it's available on a lot of exchanges, including our favorite KuCoin. Next project is known as Numeraire. So rank 243. You can see most of these don't have very high market caps, actually. Most are rank 100 or 200 to 300. But Numeraire is an interesting project. Website numer.ai. And again, disclosure, this is up not as much as the others, but it's up maybe 25, 30%. And that's because it doesn't deal with AI quite as directly. Basically, this is it's a data science tournament to predict the stock market. And so it encourages people to use machine learning models to predict the stock market. And then they are somehow incorporated into this decentralized blockchain ecosystem. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't done all the research on the tokenomics. Again, I'm just giving you a landscape, but I would have to look into how exactly the token fit into this. And then the last AI project that I want to talk about today is known as Ori Chain. So Ori Chain is much smaller, rank 744, market cap 14 million. And this one is also up about 2x. And this is an AI layer 1 for the data economy and Oracle services. Like with Fetch, Ori is creating infrastructure that would allow you to safely and properly integrate AI into blockchain technology. In their case, they are creating tools that would allow you to create oracles which incorporate AI computation so that you can safely trigger a smart contract based on some sort of AI computation which happened off-chain. And that's the current overview of the AI crypto landscape, how this narrative might play out, and how I am playing it. If you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.